we know that Goldberg is finally here the night after WrestleMania a few years later, and it's actually down 30% from the prior year's Monday after WrestleMania. So the Goldberg tease at WrestleMania didn't necessarily result in a bunch of views, but hey, maybe we'll get them in time for the big payoff with Rock and Goldberg. But on the way there,
yeah, but wait a minute. I read those notes, and I disagree with that. You got one, not with what you said. Facts are facts, but they say numbers don't lie, but numberers do, and so it's how you want to interpret these numbers. You can make it any way you want. Maybe it was Rock, maybe it was the rest of the roster. I mean, that was one part of the show that Goldberg was going to be there. And so I'm not a Goldberg apologist here. I'm not just here to stick up for Goldberg, but I see these numbers and people want to blame it on certain things. They want to blame it on certain biases that they have, that they want to take these numbers and go, okay, I want to find some numbers to justify my point of view. I think that's what this was. I don't think it was a matter of Goldberg being there that numbers are down. You got a whole rest of the roster. You got a Rock Appreciation Night. You got a lot of things going on here. I think it's unfair to blame this on one person that was one segment of the show.
I want to be clear. I wasn't even trying to remotely insinuate it was Goldberg's fault.
And I know you weren't. I should have been more clear about you saying that. When I read the notes, they were pretty adamant about what direction that they were going. And I'm talking about older notes that came through,
sure,
your dirt sheets and things.
Well, Dave Meltzer was certainly breaking down that ratings were down from the prior year, but I would go with this. Ratings are down from the prior year, and that's why Vince finally brings Goldberg in.
Right.
Like, Vince was a businessman. He's managing the bottom line. He's not going to add a bunch of new expense unless he feels like it's absolutely necessary. And this is very much a time where, we think Steve Austin is going to be wrapping up. We know Goldberg is a big star, and we need a big star because The Rock's going to make movies. Stone Cold's out hurt. There's no competition. WWE has always done phenomenally well when there was competition, but now without any competition, well, fans are paying less and less attention. They had been in a downward spiral really since WrestleMania 17. Now, a lot of people point to the lack of competition, and don't get me wrong, that mattered. But turning Austin heel in WrestleMania 17, it started to peter out after that just organically. So 2 years later, Vince hits the panic button and thinks, hey, how do we pull this nose up? We'll bring in Goldberg. It doesn't work on night one, but a lot of fans may not have even heard that Goldberg was going to be there. So you can't count someone's surprise debut. If that rating in a surprise debut doesn't do bananas, again, it's a surprise. How would anyone know? So we'll see if he can get the train back on track. Not Goldberg, Vince. Right. The presentation and what he's put together here.
Yeah, Conrad, you lose three of the biggest stars in the history of the business. You lose Stone Cold.
Yes.
And I can't say, I've said it so many freaking times. When I got there in 95, we couldn't give away tickets. We started to quit running big arenas. Vince said we can't run small arenas. We started running the Sportatorium in Dallas because we couldn't sell tickets for Reunion in Dallas. And Vince said, we just can't do that. The optics of that are just terrible. That's how bad business was. And then all of a sudden, Steve gets hot. Any building you put his name on in the world, we sold out with Steve. NWO is hot down in Atlanta. And now all of a sudden, we've got Steve who's hurt, and he's about to be gone. The Rock comes along, and for the first time probably in the history of the business, you have two megastars at the same time, The Rock and Stone Cold. He's about to go do movies. And Shawn Michaels, who was the heir apparent, hurts his back and is gone. We've lost three of the biggest stars in the history of the business, maybe the biggest stars. And all people are looking at it saying, well, you guys are having problems because you didn't have competition. No, we had bad luck.
Well, let's see if the luck gets back on track with Goldberg in the WWE. It's not without controversy. Very quickly, there's some backstage issues. This is what's written about in the Wrestling Observer newsletter. Goldberg was talking to Kevin Nash earlier in the night about his angle where Nash was going to powerbomb Jericho, and Goldberg made a comment about Jericho's selling, which naturally got back to Jericho. It's believed that either Nash told Jericho or more likely that Shane Helms overheard the conversation and went to Jericho. Jericho went to Goldberg and said something to the effect that they were no longer in WCW, and in WWE, guys try to help each other. So if he had anything creative to say, Say it to his face or stay out of his business. The two had words, which heated up, and the language got colorful. Apparently, Goldberg went to grab Jericho by the throat, and Jericho grabbed a front face lock, and they both went down when it was quickly broken up. The two had more words after it was broken up, back and forth, before they both shook hands. In some circles, Jericho is kind of a locker room hero, since Goldberg is the outsider, and there's the natural resentment to him getting a great deal and starting out on top, having never paid his dues. Plus, Jericho stood up to a guy who's probably a good 6 inches taller and 55 pounds heavier than he is. Talk to me about this. When do you remember hearing, oh my God, Goldberg and Jericho had a dust up backstage? Tell me about this.
Yeah, I heard about it right away. I'd never heard that, who may have relayed the message to Jericho. I don't know how they figured out it might be Nash or Hurricane. I have no idea. No idea the veracity or truth of any of that. It's the first I'd ever heard about it when I saw those notes. It just happened. Shit happens. Shit happens backstage sometimes. Jericho is a stand-up dude. Jericho is not scared of nothing. And Goldberg and he got into a confrontation, and I saw the notes that you read that people were jealous of Goldberg because he didn't pay his dues and all that crap. That ain't true. That is 100% not true. They got this huge star from WCW. We're glad he was there. When you bring in big stars like this, is there a little jealousy? Yeah, because I want his spot, not because he didn't deserve to be there. I just would like to have his spot. And so, of course, there's some jealousy there. There should be. If you're a professional, you should want that guy's spot. But when they come in like that, guys are happy because you have somebody else to work with. You have somebody else to draw money. You have somebody else that's on the roster. That's a good thing, not a bad thing. You may have a few guys that get their panties in a wad and get all upset about it. Those guys aren't going to be your top guys anyway. You have guys that are going to pout and all that. And I'm sorry, those guys usually aren't the guys that aren't going to draw money anyway. You may have some guys that have some issues, but that's over. I want that spot, not because that guy doesn't necessarily deserve it. And we just thought, anytime you hear about a fight or a dust up, I don't know if it was a full fight, but it was a dust up. Boys love it. It's fun. And, we all want to know what happened. We want to hear from every different perspective. I heard it from Jericho's perspective. He told me directly to me what happened, like he told to a lot of people. We talked to anybody who were witnesses there. The boys enjoy stuff like that.
Don't we all love summer vacation, relaxing, laying out by the pool, barbecues, hitting the beach, doing, nothing? Well, how about a summer vacation from your house payments? With SaveWithConrad.com, you can do just that. Reduce your monthly payments by making the equity you built up in your home work for you. You can roll together those high interest rate credit cards into one lower monthly payment, and perhaps access some of that newfound equity to turn your house into your dream home with no money out of pocket. And how about this? You get to skip your next 2 house payments. That's right. You won't have to make your June or your July house payment. You're done until August 1st. Go right now to SaveWithConrad.com. Let my team run the numbers for you for free. There's no obligation, and if we can't help you save some cash, we won't waste your time. And did I mention we're offering a 3-year guarantee right now? That's right. That means if at any point interest rates improve over the next 3 years, you get a free refi. That's right. No new lender fees from us. So you get to save money now without wasting money later when the rates improve on a whole second set of closing costs. Why not go to SaveWithConrad.com and get a guarantee? Save money now and save money later with your friend in the mortgage business. That's me, Conrad Thompson at SaveWithConrad.com. Shoot me an email at Conrad@SaveWithConrad.com. Give us a call at 888-425-0105. Or get yourself a quick quote. Even talk to a live person right now at SaveWithConrad.com. NMLS number 2129, equal housing lender. Let's take a summer vacation from house payments at SaveWithConrad.com.